live, loading up. Got it. All right, and we are live, taking off. We live, loading up. Got it. And I all right, I tweeted it out. We're just sending out some links for anybody who wants to watch us. Anyone that's tuned on right now, thank you for tuning in. We're about to break down UFC Fight Night in London, so just give us a moment. We are going live. We don't do this often, so if you're here with us, thank you.
Let's go.
But
all right.
Anyone that hasn't seen you, Will, this is who I also like to call Will Shiesty. If he's a big Bengals fan, that's why he gets the Shiesty nickname. But tell us about yourself, Will. Welcome to the Holy Blitz family.
Thank you. I have been a MMA fan for like 15 plus years now, so it's all just off of watching it. Biggest Bengals fan around, also the saddest fan in the NFL right now. So pretty much it to it.
It can't be that sad. He made it all the way to the big game. But on our side, I think we're all set up, at least on everything that I need to set up. But this is Totally Blitzed Fight Club. We're your host, Paul, Pick 'em, Win 'em, Concha, and I'm joined with today
William. That's it.
We'll just call him Will Shiesty. We're looking at what if you didn't hear earlier, we're looking at UFC Fight Night in London, Volkov versus Aspinall. This is a very deep card. I mean, outside of the main card, I think we got a lot of young prospect talent that we should be looking at for shit from years to come.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Tell me about some of these preliminary fights.
Some of these prelim fights, if you get there early, first off, a couple names I'm going to point out is Mohammed Makhev. He's 6-0. This is his first UFC fight. But he's a big favorite. They're basically giving him a feed me fight. So this is someone who should come in and just dominate. He's going to be the first fight of the card to begin with. So he should start everything off with a bang. And honestly, I'm excited to see how he does if he lives up to it. And then another name that I do want to point out is Jack Shore versus Tamir. I don't want to butcher his last name, but Tamir Valiyev. Jack Shore's 15-0. I believe he's like 6-0 in the UFC. Unbeaten still. Tamir's 18-2. Very tough challenge for Jack Shore. Definitely Jack Shore's toughest challenge here. But I think if Jack Shore can win this, he's an elite ground fighter. But if he can win this fight, he might not be ranked yet, but he will be pushed towards that ranking status and contender status moving forward.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other good ones. Jaya Herbert versus Topuria, and this is their first fight, or at least Topuria's first fight at 155. So we get to see how he's going to look, but he's a massive favorite. He should just knock him out. Nice. Anyone knows him, he's the one that's beefing with Patty the Batty right now after their hotel incident that just happened the other day.
Oh, yeah. Throwing bottles of shit at each other, man.
Yeah. Can't have it, but I like it. So this is the UFC's first time back in London. Big deal. They stacked it up with London fight. Not just London, I apologize, but British, UK, England, Europe, just the whole, that side of the world, of the continent, they stacked it for them. And
Anglo-Saxons.
Yeah, and it'll be at 4:00 Eastern time for us is when the main card will start. So that's kind of crazy. This is gonna be an early. I'm gonna be drunk by like noon. I'm gonna be out of here.
5 yet over here.
But to kick us off before we start everything, I see you got your blunt. I'm gonna take my shot real quick. So cheers, my brother, to another great episode.
Woo!
And this is, if you haven't seen a Fight Night episode yet, you know we cannot start the Fight Night breakdown until we hit the gong. We don't have a literal gong to let you know that the fights are starting. This is the closest thing I've got to it.
Yes, sir.
Ooh.
Yee.
All right. Well, that shows that we are about to kick it off. The first fight on the main card, ESPN Plus is how you watch it. Light heavyweight fight between Nikita Krylov versus Paul Craig. Paul Craig is a small underdog here. How do you feel this fight's going to go, or how do you see it, or what do you know about these fighters?
I personally have Paul Craig in this just because I always favor BJJ experts, especially when they're in the heavier weight classes. You know, guys like, I mean, it's the higher up the weight class you go, the more they stand and bang. Like, obviously, the more knockout power they got, like, just takes one shot. But these lightweights, man, I got Paul Craig going. I don't know what submission he's gonna do, but
well, see, Krylov, he has that KO power. He can bang. He's knocked out. He's got that power, and
right
on the ground, he is a mauler. But if he's on top, I've seen in fights where if he's not on top, it's not going his way. Whereas Paul Craig, you already said it, he's at BJJ. He's polished. He's okay on his back. He'll make you feel like you're comfortable on top, and then bam, he's got you in a triangle. Bam, he's got you in a Kimura. He is good. I've liked Paul Craig because he's one of the few people, if only person actually, to beat Magomed Anklev, who just fought a main event the last card, and he put him in a rear naked choke. So he's beaten some high competition. He dominated Shogun Rua, but to be fair, Shogun Rua is a little bit older. Give me Paul
he's good
Craig.
In his 40s now.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I take Paul Craig. I think as an underdog, take it at the plus money. I think this is about an even fight. And maybe Krylov's early power can be kind of scary, but this fight's going to hit the mat. And when it does,
Absolutely.
Paul Craig's going to dominate.
Absolutely.
This next fight, this one's kind of fun. This is this one's a big, we have one big underdog and one big favorite. We have the OG Shamil Abduramakov. He's a Russian. He's 40 years old. He's been around forever versus the young bull, Sergey Pavlovich. Young bull. He's young. He looks like he's steroided up. You know, he's not, but that boy is Hulk made. He's massive. Another guy, just like Krylov last fight, he has that one-hitter quitter equipped at all times. Shamil, 40-year-old veteran. He hasn't won a fight in over 2 years. His last two fights, he's looked terrible, but it was against Curtis Blades. And it was also the next fight was Chris Dawkins, where he had his moments until he got his face broken off in the second round. Yeah, it happened. Like, 40 years old. He's a Sambo background. So that takedown, he's the king of them at heavyweight. He'll get you. He'll bring you down. How do you feel about this fight here?
I don't know, man.
Because Sergey has the power, and he's young. He is not experienced. I will say Shamil is definitely his toughest fight yet, but at the same time, Shamil's older, slower, but he has the takedowns. Like, if he takes Sergey down, it might get a little muddy. It might get a little in the trenches.
I can see Shamil being like Alexei Oleinik almost. Like, he's old, but he's such a veteran that he knows all the tricks around. Like I just don't see a young buck taking down a veteran like this.
I will say Sergey has taken 2 years off at hiatus. His only loss was his first fight in the UFC, where sometimes your first fight in the UFC, they give you like unranked. They gave him Alistair Overeem. So he expect him to the big beast.
Strikeforce champion of the world, first fight.
Yeah.
There you go.
So He got beat, but that's okay loss. He hasn't fought in 2 years. He has a left hand as a semi-truck. I like Sergey here. I like him to win by KO because these are heavyweights. This isn't going 3 rounds. I mean, it might if Shamil wins, but I think Sergey's going to clip him at least in the first or second round. And the ground could be an issue. You always got to watch it. But
I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. But my gut tells me that a 40-year-old man like that, like still being in the rings, even if he's just coming off a loss, is like he knows his way around a win.
And there
I
is
see
an
him maybe taking advantage of some
difference though in 8 inches.
8 inches, yeah. Yeah, that is true. But I mean, like I said, like I also don't see this as being the stand and bang. If it is a stand and bang, Sergey's taking this absolute dub. But like I said, I see Shamil coming in with maybe like I'm gonna call it a second round submission.
Okay, that is his shot. I see Shamil winning either by decision or by submission, mainly because he's not knocking anybody out at the age of 40.
No.
And second off, Popovich has 0 takedown his whole career so far, and he's 13 or 14-1. So like this isn't gonna be a fight between 2 sides. I usually go with the ground expert, but I just think this left hand semi truck is gonna break Shamil's face, and this might be like his last fight in the UFC. I don't know what his contract looks like, but he's definitely over that hill.
Yeah, he's definitely on his way out if he's 2 years without a win.
Yeah, no, he's fought 4 times, so it's not like he hasn't had fights. So,
right, he's been active.
Next fight we have the return of Gunnar Nelson to fight Takashi Sato, which Takashi Sato is a stand-in fighter. Cardio Silva had a back out late. So Takashi Sato, who's not a bad fighter, did take it up on short notice.
Yeah. I just got to be honest with you, man. Gunnar Nelson's going to beat the brakes off this guy. He's going to beat the shit out of this man.
You think so?
I think so. I do. Just because I don't know, man. I feel like this is a feed fight. Like he's the one who answered that short call fight, but this is a feed fight, like low key.
I'm popping up with my invisible haze.
Hey.
Just I'm gonna let you know. I agree with you, but I mean, Gunnar Nelson has 6 subs at welterweight, 6 submissions at welterweight, which is the UFC record, which is like no one talks about him like that. I feel like Gunnar Nelson's gone under the radar as being like he submits people at a high rate. He's great on the ground. Jiu-jitsu is very polished. His striking's unique because he uses a karate style, but we've seen that work before with Stephen Thompson and other fighters.
Right, Wonder Boy.
Yeah. But so it's not that he throws a lot of strikes, but he's good. He has precise strikes because he might not throw many in a fight, but they're precise. He has like a 60% signature strike percentage, which is high. And but that just shows that he's not throwing a lot, but when he lands nice. He is coming off of 2 losses though, one to Gilbert Burns and one to Leon Edwards, and they're both welterweight like contenders. Yeah, top of dogs. Sato, Sato might catch him early. How do you feel about that though? Because Sato's nice on his feet. Like Sato has hands.
Sato is nice,
but it's just his ground game is weak.
His ground game's weak, and then that's where like Gunnar shines the most. I mean, I feel like Gunnar can stand and bang with Sato, but
Sato can't roll with Gunnar.
Yeah, like the second it goes down to the ground, like it's just gonna be like you're watching I don't know, like an in gym fight. Like they're sparring now. Like Gunnar's just gonna take advantage of this man. It's gonna be dirty. It's gonna be disturbed. Like I couldn't tell you how he's gonna submit him, but I just know he's gonna take this fight. I'm gonna say first round too.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, out of his 12 wins, out of his 17 wins in his whole career, 12 of which are submissions. So, and especially in the UFC, when he wins, it's typically by submission. I'd like it here. This is his first fight back. I would like to see something out of him just because that welterweight spot, I want to say it's wide open, but when Colby can't fight for a title in the same division, other people have to start doing something to put themselves. Like Gilbert Burns is taking on the boogeyman right now with Chimaev. Right. Gunnar Nelson has to win this. Maybe go fight whoever wins out that Leon Edwards next bout. Something like that, just to get your name into that spot.
Which, by the way, Leon Edwards has become such a force in the welterweight division now, because he went from being the number one contender last year when he fought Nate Diaz and shit to we have to barely remember his name and throw it in there.
Yeah,
we have all these studs now.
He wasn't even on this card, which I found crazy, because this was he only fights typically in his homeland of England. So
right,
this was their first time back. This was I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's not like he couldn't find anybody to fight. He want to fight Leon Edwards. That's just a high-ranking guy up there for the taking for them.
And I personally am a Leon Edwards fan. I'm not a fan of people who do not fight often or just kind of sit on their ranking and wait for a title shot.
Right.
Which I'm not saying that's what Leon Edwards is doing, but I will say the welterweight has people like Tyron Woodley in the past who did this and openly said, I'm not fighting anyone until I fight for the title. There are people who do this in this sport. So I'm not saying he does, but it happens.
Right.
But I agree. Give me Gunnar Nelson. And since he is a 5-1 favorite, which he's massive, big favorite, I will say if you're going to bet on him, bet to take him by submission. I don't know. I don't have the odds in front of me, but I do know I have a feeling that the odds for submission are going to be kind of nice.
Yeah.
Especially when he wins, it's typically by submission. So next fight, one of my personal favorite fighters. I think my favorite fighter on the card. You got Patty the Baddie Pimblett versus Rodrigo Vargas. I'm not gonna lie, I think you were the one who kind of showed me who Patty the Baddie was, so I think it's only right that I let you. You don't have to take a pick just yet, but you can just explain to some people at home who don't know who this man is, or just break down the fight.
Well, first of all, if you don't know who Patty the Baddie is, he's a scouser. They don't get knocked out.
They don't get knocked out.
They just get kind of knocked down early on in the first round. They come back and knock out the guy. But yeah, no, Patty the Baddie's great. He's a brawler, dude. He's not I wouldn't say he's super special in any position, but from all of his fights that you watch, man, he's just a brawler. Fucking fights. He's just a wild swinging. I obviously I'm taking Patty. I've got to rock with Patty. He's a scouser. He don't get knocked out. He's gonna take this fight easy. They've been putting up another unranked guy, just feeding this man.
I will say this: I didn't know that this was Patty's. This might be his second or third fight in the UFC, but no more than
second.
Second,
yeah.
And his first fight was against, I believe, someone named Luigi. I can't remember his last name, but where he was getting he was, like you said, there's some shots where he had this bad habit of keeping that chin up, and some shots landed. But I will sit here and argue, even if I'm on the hill by myself, I think his ground game is elite. Whereas he's trying to be a brawler, he wants to be a scouser, he wants to just sit there and thing. But his technique is different. It's almost it's not boxing technique, because he's coming from when he punches, he's keeping his chin up. Two, he's coming from wide angles upwards.
He's throwing from the hip when he does that. It's
hands
a lot more
down.
power in him.
Yeah, but there's no protection. When he fights someone who is really decent with the hands, I think the hype train might be shown some realism. But as of right now, keep feeding me these fights. Rodrigo Vargas, I kind of feel bad for him. The more I looked into this guy, well, first off, he's Mexican, just like me, so shout out to him. But every fight he's had in the UFC, which is 3, he's been an underdog. Not only an underdog, but a plus 220, plus 300 underdog. The same odds he has for this fight is how he's had for every fight he's had in UFC. So they usually use this man almost like a dummy. We're trying to project someone else's career. Give me Rodrigo Vargas. But good thing for him is, and this might make this fight interesting, is he's 1-2 in his 3 fights. So he did spoil the party for some fight. And one of them, he got disqualified for an illegal elbow when he was already winning majority of the fight. So who knows? Maybe Patty's in for a rude awakening here. Bite off a little bit more than he can chew. At the same
I
time,
mean,
though,
yeah.
this is Patty, the baddie, boy. Well, I just think his ground game is nice. Coming from Cage Warriors, that was some of the highlights I was seeing a lot of was like his arm bars, his triangles, and him and like flying arm. Like you're in the clinch, and the next thing you know, he's just jumping up and like kind of like getting you and stuff. Like he's
Yeah, that was nice.
if he can get his hands right, gets a coach to really teach him, like, hey, bro, like stop banging with him. Like,
Yeah.
then I think he might go far. Because just like Darren Till, it took Darren Till to find a wall, and now he fights. Like he said, he's now afraid to fight people. Before it used to be, I'm not afraid to get knocked out. Now he's openly saying, like, yeah, sometimes I'm afraid about fighting. So we'll see what happens. My pick,
Yeah.
Patty the Batty. How you?
Patty the Batty.
He's bad. I don't think we've
All day.
argued on any picks so far. I've
No,
had
we don't,
Patty
man. Great minds
done
think
there.
alike.
Oh no, the Shamil fight because you
Yeah,
took Shamil and I took Sergey.
I just like my old men, man. Like ever since Glover won, you know, I started to respect old men a lot more. Like
Can't let
Alexei
go of the
Oleinik
boomers.
too. The boomers, bro. When you got like fucking 50 professional fights under your belt, you can never say no against them. You know what I mean? Like
No, that is
you
a
never
lot
count
of,
them out.
yeah, no, that is a lot of experience right there.
Right, like because no matter what we say about Sergey, like he may have like these hard hands, but like I know that Shamil's already fought a guy that's had like the toughest hands before. You know what I mean? Like toughest guy on the block at the time.
Probably have harder hands than him.
Yeah, old school shit.
On the next fight, we got a co-main event. This might be my favorite fight of the whole card. Arnold Allen, 17-1, taking on Dan Hooker. This is at 145, different weight class.
Crazy, man.
Going down. He was already big at 155. Now he's just absolutely massive at 145.
Absolutely massive, man. We thought he was gonna look like a fucking stick figure coming out there. That's crazy. Because he's like, it's not like he's like consistent at any weight. Like he's fought lightweight, welterweight, and featherweight now. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, and apparently he used to fight at 145, which I didn't even know. But apparently he used to, and then it was so hard to cut weight, he moved up to 155, where he still had problems making weight. And I was like, so
yes,
you're just a big man trying to just fight these little children your size.
Oh, he really is, bro, man. Like when he fights Stylebender when they spar and shit, 'cause he's part of the training team. Like he easily is walking around at like 200 pounds. Like he has to be. Still a tall boy,
that kind of makes more sense because that's like Anderson Silva, Lyoto Machida. You don't want to fight your partner in the same division. One of you will move to a different division to go test for a belt.
Right, especially when you guys are both walking around. 145, bro. That's fucking crazy. That's 55 pounds. Like he's probably dropping in like I don't know how like a month's time. Like.
And I just honestly, now that he's 32 years old, he has a lot of wear and tear. If you go watch his fights against Dustin Poirier, where he got beat up for 5 rounds, Michael Chandler KO'd him in the first round. Islam mauled him. Even in his win, when he beat Paul Feather, a split decision where they went to war. Like, so there's a lot of his body's seen a lot of damage. And now at 32, he's making weight cuts to 145. He looked completely miserable. I think I told you that the other day where he just looked miserable.
Just absolutely miserable, man. And you know, he's become this like journeyman, like gatekeeper almost, where he just will fight anybody at any time. Like he really will drop weights to fight you. And I don't know, it's just never like a great matchup, it seems.
Anyone who doesn't know the great Dan Hooker, he came over from the New Zealand kickboxing side with Israel Adesanya around the same time. And he had the hands. He could throw. He had the kick. Like he was fast. He was the up and coming star with great hands before some of these guys you're hearing about now. And
great knees too, man. Like just perfectly timed knees.
And that's why it's such a big deal for like Will and me to see him now turn into what like Will said, a journeyman. Like he's just that test. Oh, you're good enough to beat Dan Hooker. Okay, then you are legit. Oh, you can't beat Dan Hooker. Then who are you? It don't matter.
You got to think of this guy like Michael Chandler. Like Michael Chandler at any time could beat any of the lightweights. 100%. He's got the fastest hands out of any lightweight there is. Like he's such a good striker. Like literally, he could knock Habib out. Give him enough chances, he could knock Habib out. Absolutely, but like he's just a guy that every single fight he goes into, it could be a 50-50 chance. He could beat Habib or he can get his ass beat by Habib. It's the same with Dan Hooker. Like Dan could go in, he could fight Izzy. He could fight Izzy and it could be a 50-50 chance.
He's not a bad L on your record. If you're a champion or a former champion, or if a Dan Hooker L is on your record, no one's holding it against you.
Right.
But
and he's always a great fight. Like literally every single fight is great. Like
he's not boring.
Not boring at all. It's not like super fucking like congested like a Justin Gaethje fight where it's just there's a punch thrown every second. Like it doesn't even make sense. Everything feels worth it, you know.
So basically what I'm hearing and what I already believe going into it, like I said, this is gonna be a great fight. This is
absolutely
looking into the fight. He's going into 145. He's facing Arnold Allen, who's 17-1. He hasn't lost a fight since 2014. That's a long time ago.
Long time.
Dan Hooker is the bigger body. He has 4 inches on him on height, and he has 5 inches on reach. Personally, I like Arnold Allen because he's like an all-arounder. He's not specialized at his ground game. He's not specialized in his kicks, hands really, but his defense is really good, and it's not just his defense for takedowns. He has great stand-up defense. No one's really hitting him cleanly. You haven't seen him get wobbled at all, really. I know it might also be his level of competition, but if you're going 17-1 and you've been in the UFC for some of these fights, like the level of competition is a good excuse, but he's made it look so easy. He's actually made 2 guys retire, which I find hilarious. Directly because of him. Directly because of him beating them, the 2 guys retired.
That's got to be some type of record.
Right. That just tells me all I need to know. That tells you all you need to know if you don't know about him. His game, like he just sticks to his game plan. That's why I like him. If he's coming in and his coach telling him, all right, hit him with a 1-2 leg kick, 1-2 leg kick, watch the takedown, keep your distance. He's gonna do that the whole round. Like he follows to his game plan to a T. He never fights your fight. He always fights his fight. And maybe we have to see him hit adversity and change his approach. But we haven't seen that yet. And I don't think Dan Hooker at 145 for the first time in I don't know how long at 32 is going to be the guy to make him hit that adversity. I think I'm the kind of coast here. I think it's one of those fights where it looks a little bit even maybe on the scorecard because the rounds might be 25-17. So Arnold Allen might win all 3 rounds, but then at the end, the numbers are kind of close just because each round was kind of close. But I like Arnold Allen to coast.
Yeah, me personally, I want to say Arnold Allen, but I'm going Dan. I'm going Dan Hooker on this one, absolutely.
Ooh, you're going.
I think Dan's
on the card.
I think Dan's gonna win by decision. Absolutely. I think it's gonna be an absolute banger of a fight. I see it going all 3 rounds for sure. I don't see Arnold being able to tap Dan. I just don't because I feel like he hasn't been tapped since Islam.
Hey.
And I just feel like that's like he's a great guy to learn from. You know what I mean? If you lose to Islam Makhev, I don't think you're ever gonna get a Kimura lock on you again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's not a bad loss either. Islam.
Right. Because I mean Dan's like also not a guy that's gonna lose and then on his next fight immediately afterwards, like you can't count him out, you know?
Yeah.
So I see Dan being able to hold his own against Arnold. Like I see it's probably gonna be a stand-up fight the whole fight. That's how I see it. I
think he's going to go both to the mat and stand up because I think Dan Hooker might win some exchanges early. We're just going to force Arnold Allen to take it to the mat. But a fight, you never know what's going to happen. Is it 3 rounds only? Because if it's 3 rounds, this is going to be such a fast-paced fight, and that's going to make it so.
It should be I think it is going to be 3 rounds early. I just don't see it. I feel like Dan Hooker is going to keep it standing. I feel like no matter what, he's going to try to keep it standing.
No, I can see that. I respect that. This is good. Hey, the odds tell us it's going to be a close fight. Both of them are minus 150, plus 110. Odds are very close. Next fight, the main event, the name on the poster, you have Alexander Volkov, Drago versus Tom Aspinall. Whew, this is another fight. We got the young bull versus the old. Not I don't want to say old as disrespectful, but the solid vet who still has some years in him.
Yes, yeah. So, what do you think of Alexander Volkov? Because me personally, that guy is like the standard of the heavyweights for me. Like, he's such a great boxer. Like, he like literally sets the standard. Like, I can't say it any better than that. Like, I feel like if you move up to heavyweight, if you fight that guy, like that guy should be your chance of getting to the top 5 rankings and up. You know what I mean?
You took
Like,
the
he's
words
the
out of my
gatekeeper.
mouth. I call that's literally I have read. He is the gatekeeper of heavyweight. If you beat him, you go up the rankings and you're fighting for a title. Maybe next fight, if not 2 fights away, but you're top 5. If you beat him, you're a heavyweight contender for the rest of your career. If you
Right.
lose to him, you kind of just like a Donkey Kong level. You go all the way to the top, you fall back down. If you lose the
Right
Volkov,
down to the bottom.
yeah, and then you got to climb back up and you got to run into a Volkov. Because if you look at his losses in UFC, he only lost to Derek Lewis, a former interim champ. He lost to Curtis Blade, who's a contender, and Cyril Gane, who's arguably, in my opinion, top 2 heavyweights right now in the whole division.
Absolutely. Like, it's for me, yeah, absolutely. It's Francis, Cyril, Alexander. Like, there's so many other people that like that Curtis Blades fight, man. Like, that was just Curtis Blades was built to beat him. Like, you're talking about a guy that's like perfect size to go against a guy that's fucking 6'7" or whatever. But Curtis Blades, like, he's a perfect wrestler. Like, he's built to take down guys like that. Like, that's his thing. So I mean, that was just
Skill-wise,
like,
skill-wise, Volkov, he is gonna tag you all day. He's
all
not
day.
he's not knocking you out, but he's gonna win a 5-round, 3-round decision because this is gonna be 5 rounds. This is the main event. He's been in those. That's all he does, and
Right.
he tags you all 5 rounds and he wins by decision. This is Aspinall's first 5-rounder of his career, so that should be something some people should know.
Right, right. Which is like, this is like his first shot. So this is what the first real like show we're gonna see of him.
The deep
Like, we're
water.
gonna see how he performed. Yeah, deep water for sure. Because like Aspinall, I love Aspinall, dude. He's such a good fighter. Like, his speed, he really does get these combos out. Like, I watched a video, like the UFC drop of his like recent fights where they showed slow motion and like he literally was getting off like a 4-punch combo in like 1 millisecond. It's already fucking slowed down, and he got 4 off, and it didn't even look like slow motion.
But Tom
Like, the
Aspinall,
shit is crazy.
his hands are just insane. I didn't know this. Do you know who his training partner is or was?
No.
Tyson Fury. That's who he trains.
What?
I know for this camp in particular, he fought against it might not be K1, but he fought against a kickboxing champion who's like 6'8", and like
Good
Matt
God.
wants to train for the Volkov fight because Volkov's a tall, lengthy dude, so he's used to it, and he's basically was saying like, if Volkov hands, they're really good. I respect them, but they're not as good as this kickboxing champion of the world that I just trained with. So, but once I heard that Tyson Fury was his partner, I was like, that makes sense. Like, that's why his boxing, his pedigree on is legit. Like, he has real boxing skills, and his jiu-jitsu. I know me and you both know that he's a high-level jiu-jitsu BJJ artist, and I didn't know this, but his dad owns a dojo and teaches at it, and like that's how he comes from a family.
His DNA.
Yeah, so. He's on a 7-fight win streak. That's why he's where he's at right now to fight Volkov. And he should honestly be at 9-fight win streak. His one loss was a DQ for illegal elbows. This illegal elbow shit keep popping up. It's a trend.
Yeah,
But
12-6s.
yeah, the 12-6 rule. So once again, he's still at 7, which isn't bad. And his only other loss professionally is at a heel hook all the way back in 2015. And if you know anything about heel hooks, that don't happen.
That don't happen. It's not in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, no, that was like
I think Frank Mir was the last one to get one against Brock Lesnar. Or no, was that a toe hold? I can't even remember.
yeah, and then Ryan Hall, he's definitely not a heavyweight, but he's
Right.
known for the leg locks, stuff like that. Tony Ferguson, but not even a heel hook, but just inaugural rolls and stuff. But a heel hook at 250, like that, yeah, like so
That's a big ass cankle, man.
Yeah, those are losses that I look at and I don't care about. Like one was a DQ, one was that I think he should be undefeated. His skill set, he's a jiu-jitsu background fighter, but he likes to stand and bang because he's better than you at it, and that's the best way to explain him. And that's why I'm picking him. And I'm picking him to. It's not going to see 5 rounds. I think there's going to be a TKO or submission. This is going to end before all 5.
Right. I am also going to call a TKO. I'm going to probably call it around round 4 because it's based off of Volkov's last fight too against or it wasn't his last fight against Cyril because he fought I think Marcin Tybura.
I know he beat Tybura. I can pull it up for you.
Yeah.
Volkov's last 5, he beat Tybura in a decision. He lost to Gane in this decision 5-round fight.
Right. So like that Gane fight, man, like the whole time, like everybody was saying, like, how's a guy like Gane who's like 6'5", who's moving around that fast? Like, so he's basically gonna deal with the same exact problem. Like it lines up with what I'm saying. Like he's always a gatekeeper. He gets signed up against bad fights. Like I feel like the fights that he is fighting that he's going to lose. Like I think he knows it's doomed to fight, but he's still going in there like fuck it. I am Drago. He's gonna beat the shit out of him in his head, but I don't know. I think it's a horrible matchup for him. I feel like Aspinall is gonna take this all the way, probably around 4 TKO.
I think I honestly see it going submission side just because, like you said, if he's just like Gane, he might not be able to knock him out. But that his BJJ is so legit on the ground where there might be a moment where Volkov is on top and he thinks he's gonna get some ground and pounds in, and bam, he's caught in something that he don't want to be caught in. So if you can find, which I usually like betting on, is a 2-way. It's either submission or TKO. That's what I'm rocking with. I think it's Aspinall. I don't think it sees 5 rounds. Only way I see Volkov winning maybe is if it goes 5 rounds and he wins the 4th and the 5th because Aspinall's so tired and he's not used to it.
Right. Because he could gas early, man. Like that's the thing. Like I don't know how his training camp's going, but if he learns just to make it through those first 3 and like save his energy for the 4th and 5th, because that's definitely going to be Volkov's like pickup rounds. Like he's going to be trying to bang those whole rounds.
And it's a lot easier said than done because almost every person that you see like their first 5 rounder, that's always just like, save your energy, bro. You need it because this guy's used to it. And look at Sanhagen and Dillashaw earlier. Sometimes it just get a little gassy. Yeah. But give us Aspinall. I like how all our picks lined up. We only got 2 differences. This is going to be a good card. Tune in. It's going to be at 4 o'clock, March 19th is when the main card starts. But if you're like a man like me, you better tune in on the prelims at 1:30 Eastern time. This was the Totally Blitzed Fight Club. This is Paul Pick'em, Wyndham Contra, and I'm joined with
Will Shiesty.
And we'll catch y'all Saturday at the Octagon. Peace.